Hello there, this is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Choma Innocent and here are the top stories. Governor Mutfwang alleges Plateau killings genocidal sponsored. SGF Akume's aide speaks on alleged plot to declare state of emergency in Benue. NNPP chieftain alleges plot to destabilize Kano, forced state of emergency. And on the foreign scene, nursing home fire in China kills 20 people. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The World News at 12 begins with this tragic development on the foreign scene where 20 people have been killed in a fire at a nursing home in northeast China. According to state media, the blaze in Chengde City, Hebei province broke out on Tuesday night local time and was extinguished in about 2 hours. 19 people survived the fire and were taken to hospital for observation. Authorities are investigating the cause of the blaze and a person in charge of the home has been detained. No other details were immediately available. Nursing homes and elderly care facilities have doubled between 2019 and 2024, according to authorities, as China deals with a growing aging population. In 2023, 29 people died, many of them elderly, and dozens were injured after a private hospital in Beijing caught fire. Back home in Nigeria, Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has described the recent killings in the state as genocidal, alleging that they were sponsored. You will recall that at least 52 people, including children, were killed on March 28, 2025, following suspected headers attacks on communities in the Bokas and Basa local government areas and surrounding areas of the state. Speaking on television, Governor Mutfwang, outraged by the killings, attributed the attacks to unidentified terrorist groups. He stated that the assault on Plateau State is being sponsored and is aimed at destroying communities in the region. Let's go listen to the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfwang.
To be honest with you, these attacks are not new. They've been going on for the last 10 years or more. It's just that they were never brought to national attention. In Bokos particularly, Bokos is one of God's gifts to Plateau State. Beautiful landscape, great mineral deposits, and so, but it's a very treacherous terrain. These communities that have been recently attacked were part of the communities that were attacked in 2023, but they survived it. They rebuilt themselves. The Rui community that was first attacked lost about 17 people in 2023, but they bounced back to show you the resilience of the people. Now, if these kind of attacks have been going on for close to 10 years, it tells you a story that there is a deliberate, conscious attempt to clean out populations, and for what reason other than to reoccupy. As I'm talking to you, there are not less than 64 communities that have been taken over by bandits on the plateau between Bokos, Barikiladi, and Riom local governments. They have been taken over, renamed, and people are living there conveniently on lands they push people away to occupy. And these are things that we've been trying to embark on dialogue to make sure that these communities, these people return to their communities. But because of the proliferation of arms, which has become quite alarming, and I'm talking now not about small arms, it's real sophisticated arms in the hands of non-state actors. It has become more challenging for communities to be able to live in peace. So I can tell you in all honesty that I cannot find any explanation other than genocide sponsored by terrorists. The question is, who is the person? Who are the persons behind the organizers of this terrorism? This is what the security agencies must help us to unravel. We must come to the point where we know the sponsors, because it is not just the work of ordinary people. This is being sponsored from somewhere.
Meanwhile, Terence Kano, who is the Special Advisor on Public Affairs to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, today dismissed the ploy to declare a state of emergency in Benue State. Kano said the narrative of a state of emergency in Benue was aimed at distracting the government from tackling the insecurity challenges in the state. He also accused Governor Hyacinth Elia's government of playing politics with the lives of the people of the state. Featuring on the television show, he accused Governor Elia of failing to effectively tackle the issue of insecurity caused by armed headers attacking communities in the state. Let's take a listen to him speaking on television earlier this morning.
You will also record that government officials were busy going up and down, denying that there were no security challenges in Benue, when Benue people were killed on a daily basis. Even the special advisor security to the governor came on live television to deny that there were no killings in Benue. Rotus could bear me witness that he interviewed the MD of BIPC and he told you that Benue was peaceful, that Benue has no issue of security, people should come and invest. When they hit all these killings and they have overwhelmed them, instead of admitting to their failures, they are looking for excuses left, right, and center, instead of bringing every stakeholder together to discuss the way forward to resolve this crisis. So that is the unfortunate situation that we found ourselves in Benue, and it's quite sad. Our people are killed on a daily basis. Is it people from Abuja that wants to bring a state of emergency that will go and create a security challenge in Abuja, where 2 weeks ago the senator representing Northwest Geopolitical Zone, Senator Zam's house, was razed down? Is it the people that are sponsoring the killings that the maternal home of the senator representing Benue Zone A, Senator Dendy's maternal home, was razed down? Those IDPs are right in their houses. Is it people from Abuja that are sponsoring the killings in Benue, that the maternal home of the member representing Kwando Shongu's house was razed down in Jatoka? Our people are killed on a daily basis. Yesterday, people were killed in Benue. Day before yesterday, people were killed in Benue. We expected the government to have called all citizens of Benue together and look for an objective way of resolving this crisis. This thing took place in Plateau. The governor of Benue State with Plateau State with the stakeholders cried out loud. The National Security Advisor was in Plateau State to put heads together with them to see how security will be brought stable in Plateau State. But instead of doing same in Benue, we are busy sponsoring groups to go out and malign stakeholders of Benue so that these issues will not be resolved. It's not quite palatable.
Still on the world news at 12, a chieftain of the New Nigeria People's Party NNPP, Buba Galadima, has raised alarm over what he described as a calculated plot to destabilize Kano State and create grounds for the federal government to declare a state of emergency. Galadima made the revelation while speaking on a political program on Tuesday. He alleged that the plan was being hatched without the knowledge of President Bola Tinubu. He further claimed that a high-level meeting was held at a senior government official's residence in Abuja to strategize the plot. Galadima alleged that the plot involved detaining the current Emir of Kano in Abuja, which would prompt military intervention and ultimately render Graham's anchor to disclose the identity of the individual allegedly being prepared for emirship. Galadima declined. Let's take a listen to Buba Galadima speaking on the plot to declare a state of emergency in Kano State.
It was unknown to him, and I can beat my chest that he didn't know. Tinubu didn't know what happened, what was arranged. That there was a grand design to set up the Kano state government, including the emir, such that they could declare a state of emergency. And there was a meeting in a senior official of government's house in this Abuja, and the man that was supposed to be appointed emir was sent to Umrah. And as I speak to you now, he's in Saudi Arabia, because their thinking is that once the emir is invited today, he will be detained in Abuja. Once he's detained, the military would be put on alert.
And then they throw.
The River State Sole Administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, has appointed administrators for the 23 local government areas of the state. Secretary to State Government, Professor Ibibia Worika, disclosed this in a special government announcement issued this morning. Although the details of the new appointees were not mentioned, the statement said the appointments take immediate effect. VP News gathered that Admiral Ibas also approved the constitution of some boards of agencies, commissions, and parastatals, which he had earlier suspended. The appointment is coming barely 24 hours after a federal high court sitting in Port Harcourt reportedly restrained him from appointing administrators to oversee the affairs of the local government councils. A violent clash between rival core groups outside the gate of Osun State Polytechnic, Ire, has left one person feared dead and 4 others injured, according to eyewitness accounts. The incident, which occurred on Tuesday, reportedly involved suspected members of 2 confraternities, both of whom allegedly exchanged gunfire during the confrontation. A graphic video shared by Facebook user Lamina Omotoyosi captured a man in a white shirt striking another man repeatedly on the head with a hammer, while 2 others watched nearby. Eyewitnesses claimed that the victim, described as a male adult, was rushed to a private hospital in Ire but was turned away, and he reportedly died en route to another medical facility in Osogbo. Another source disclosed that prior to the incident, security personnel on campus had reportedly held the meeting with suspected cult members in anticipation of potential unrest. Dr. Tokpe Abiola, the Dean of Student Affairs at the Polytechnic, confirmed that a disturbance occurred outside the campus, but stated that the victim was no longer a student. The Osun State Police Command, through the spokesperson Abiodun Ojalabi, also commented on the incident. He disclosed that those injured were receiving treatment but declined to confirm any details. You're tuned into the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Joining me for the news analysis segment, I have veteran journalist, political, social, national and international affairs analyst, Mr. Dele Fanimo. Always a pleasure to have you here, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining me. If you've been listening to the news items that I've been reading, and one thing that is very, very prominent is the spate of insecurity in the country, from Plateau to Benue to Kano to Osun State. Insecurity is rife, taking over different areas of the country. Plateau State Governor Mutfwang is saying that this is a genocide and it is being sponsored. This is one governor that is speaking out for his people, unlike people like the Enugu State Governor, the Ebonyi State Governor. A lot of the people have been calling them and saying, look, you are turning a blind eye to the issue of insecurity in the state. Now that Governor Mutfwang has come out to say, look, my people are being killed by people who have been sponsored by someone. He is a governor. Does he actually have the powers to call on the federal government to go ahead, investigate and find people who are sponsoring these headers, bandits, whatever they are called, to kill the people of Plateau?
You'd excuse me if I had to go back in time to properly situate these killings. You see, I listened to the governor and he mentioned that they have been killed for over 30 years. He's right. You see, the systematic elimination of Plateau and Niger, and Benue people didn't start today. You recall that during the Civil War, the preponderance of non-commissioned officers in the Nigerian army were people from what they call then Middle Belt, made up of the present Kogi, Benue, Plateau, and Niger. As a matter of fact, they call them foot soldiers in the military. And they started decimating the ranks of these people after the 1976 coup led by Bukasuka Dimka, who happens to be from the Middle Belt. That was when we had the likes of Shelleng, Koneshenen, Major General Bisala, and the rest of them. All came from that particular region of the country. And some non-commissioned officers were also killed in that coup. Now, fast forward to 1990, when Gideon Oka, who is also from that particular axis, also led a coup. And the result, the rest, as they say, is history. Unfortunately, that was the beginning of the systematic elimination of the middle belt. And so it is not out of place to link what is currently going on in Plateau and Benue. You also recall the incident of Zakibiam and all that. Now, the headsmen, the so-called headsmen, which I would rather call terrorists, because they are not anybody that is behind the cattle and is holding an assault rifle, AK-47, AK-49, or whatever rifle, even La, is a terrorist and not a herder. Because there is no present danger that will warrant you to have 60 rounds of ammunition in an assault rifle just because you are tendering cows. Now, most of these herders are nomadic by nature. They move from one place to the other for pastoral business, which should ordinarily be a personal business. But because of the cultural influence of the Fulani, that has also been translated to not just cultural, to a way of life and religion. Anywhere they get to, they want to dominate. And when they want to dominate, they have unrestricted way of procreation. A Fulani man can have as many as 30, 40 children. And so when they have a small settlement, over a period of time, they want to possess the aborigines of that particular environment and possess the land. And they have been doing this consistently but systematically in the last 4-5 decades.
Mr. Fanimo, I want to actually focus more on the causes of this insecurity, the reasons that it might be. The governor is saying that they want to take over the land for themselves. That there are people who are actively, they've chased out the indigenes of Plateau State.
You see,
and they're living there. In 2022, Nigeria was 143 out of 163 on the global peace index, right? And in 2025 is about 2.91% out of 10. That is showing that the way insecurity has ravaged part of the country. You're talking about the Fulanis being nomads and all of that. We cannot paint every Fulani person as being a terrorist.
I'm not saying all of them are terrorists. I'm just telling you that they are prone to migration. They don't stay in one place. And so, rather than move from point A to B, from B to C, if they find a fertile land in point B, they want to settle down. And in settling down, they want to dominate. And in domination, they are likely to dispossess the owners of the land of their property.
And the federal government is watching while this is happening in several different states of the country. The fears are that if this insecurity continues, that there might be a state of emergency declaration in this state, from Benue to Plateau to even to Kano, although Kano state is a very different situation, has to do with the emir. We'll get there. That if such a situation between the pro-Wike lawmakers and Governor Fubara could lead to the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers, how much more in Plateau state? And also recall that Plateau has seen state of emergency before, which was declared by, I think it was former President Obasanjo that declared state of emergency in Plateau.
When Dario was there.
Way back then, right? The governor is saying, look, this insecurity has festered up until
power and influence can only be curtailed by the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Okay, let's go to Benue State. Governor Hyacinth Elia is an APC governor. His state is also suffering from these armed headers attack. He's also suffering from terrorists. But that's if the governors have to band together, just like the Southwest governors established Amotekun, right? Is in several different states of the Southwest. The Southeast governors, what are they doing? How are they doing this? And the fear with Amotekun and other kind of vigilante groups is, okay, now we are equipping these people with weapons. Someone could join Amotekun today, leave tomorrow, he's leaving with his weapon, could go and establish an illegal vigilante. We see more non-state actors. We see the proliferation of small and light weapons, and not just small and light weapons. You heard Governor Mutfwang saying these people have weapons that are even newer, that are even more efficient than what the Nigerian military, the Nigerian police are carrying about. In Benue State, right, the special advisor on public affairs, the secretary to the government of the federation, that's Terence Kano, is saying that actually he's dismissing the ploy to declare a state of emergency in Benue State. But is it not actually time? Because the way the Fulani headers, right, these armed headsmen, are chasing away people from Bokas, from different areas in Benue State. Is it not actually time to declare state of emergency?
State of emergency is not the solution. The solution is, one, let the contiguous states come together, the so-called middle belt, and form a formidable vigilante outfit that is properly equipped.
So we'll not have different kinds of regional vigilantes.
You recall
when
that
we have the military, we have the police, we have civil defense, we should now also have regional vigilantes.
The civil defense is only meant to protect critical assets of government. They are not trained to fight wars. Because what these people are unleashing on Nigerians is war. And so they are not. As a matter of fact, you see, for me, these vigilante groups should be trained, well trained and well equipped to fight, and let them complement the military in their fight against these insurgents. You see, one curious thing that is baffling me and that is giving me headache is that these headsmen, when they invade with impunity. They don't watch their back because they believe that nothing will happen to them. I'm sure you must have seen some videos that trended about 2 weeks ago, even up till last week, where these young Fulani herders will storm a farm that the cassava were ready for harvesting.
And they will cut it and give to their cows to eat.
Them and then slice to pieces for their cow to eat, daring the farmer to even show face so that they can slaughter him. And one thing happened in Adamawa that is instructive. Somebody defied a herder who even stabbed him, but he was brave enough to overpower this herder, and in the course of doing that, he was able to kill the herder. Today is awaiting execution because a Supreme Court judgment had come to say that he is guilty of murder, and so he has to be killed. And unfortunately, the only person that can save that man's neck from the guillotine is the governor of that state, who either refused to sign his death warrant or commute that death sentence to maybe life imprisonment or 20 years imprisonment or whatever, or even give him state pardon. So what we are saying is we are living in a place, in a country where the agenda of the elite is different from the agenda of the masses.
All right, let's look at the fact that the Nigerian security agencies, especially the police PPRO, will come on Twitter, on different social media handles and tell you that we can catch you anywhere you are in the world. We can track you, we can get you. If you commit a crime, if you insult certain people, if you insult the president, if you do what you're not supposed to do, if you're involved in criminal activities, you post it on social media, we can get you. But we have bandits on TikTok. TikTok is a video sharing app. We see these people flaunting the monies that they collected as ransom. We see them flaunting their bikes. We see them flaunting their guns on TikTok. We see them even doing giveaway, telling people post your bank account and we'll credit you. And sometimes they do. What exactly would it take to actually track these people? Or is it that their sponsors are also part of the high and mighty in Nigeria, and that is why the security agencies are unable to, or that is why the federal government has the political unwillingness to actually go ahead and quash insecurity in the country? Who exactly in the top echelons of power in and outside Nigeria is insecurity benefiting?
You see, let me tell you, we were in this country once where we were told that a state actor was given the contract of recruiting these headers across the Sahel, right from even up to Sudan, Mali, Niger, and the rest of the countries. And just because they wanted to hound this man out of government, Jonathan. And when these people came, they did what they were told to do, harassing, tormenting, killing, just to create that fear in the minds of Nigerians. And as soon as Jonathan left, there was an agreement that these people will be paid and will be paid off to return back to their country, but they were never paid. And so they found out and began to fend for themselves, and they discovered that Nigeria is even more lucrative than their home country where they were coming from. They started kidnapping for ransom, and today, as at last year, I think September or October, the money paid on ransom alone was over 2 trillion naira in Nigeria. So why would they not want to continue with these nefarious activities in Nigeria? Turji is from Niger. There is a military junta in Niger. Why didn't he go back to Niger and go and confront that soldier man? But yet he struts around. He will even kill for fun after Salah celebration. So why are we looking elsewhere? The point is, some section of the country believe that the only way to remain relevant in this country is to make the country ungovernable. Now, 2027 election is close by. Now, they are making the old country ungovernable just because they want to achieve their own end. Must you kill for you to unseat a government? You know how many people that were killed in the build-up to 2015 election that ousted Jonathan? So it is just that one would not, military would have to really do their job, and the political class, particularly the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, must be ready to kiss the bullet to save Nigerians from these headers. They don't have monopoly of violence. It's just because we are tolerating them. That's why they continue to have their ways. So please, for me, that is the only way to go. Let the soldiers do their jobs. If you go into the military, they will tell you that when they are about routing these people, order comes from above that they should retreat. If you ask an average soldier in the northeast today, and maybe northwest, that what is the reason why this thing is festering, they will tell you that the military high command and the political class, they are not sincere with the way they want to prosecute this war. If they are sincere, I can tell you that it won't take more than 1 month to rout these miscreants. The military has the capacity to do it.
You remember when the whole thing came out, US said might be sponsoring Boko Haram in Nigeria. Also in 2020, Eben Balo, who is a private military contractor, provided fresh insight, talking about why the war against Boko Haram was still persisting almost 5 years after former President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office in 2015. He said that Boko Haram terrorists were still acting and launching deadly attacks on innocent civilians and towns in certain areas in Nigeria because of foreign interest. He says the US actually sponsored Buhari's campaign, that the 2015 campaign, noting that the 2015 campaign manager for former President Muhammadu Buhari was from the US. He said Buhari stopped Goodluck Jonathan's counter-insurgency operation, which involved foreign military contractors, because that was what the US wanted. What will be their gain in making sure that insecurity festers in the country?
I'm sure you stumbled on this radio station program that is fashioned like a people's parliament, where former chief security officer to General Sani Abacha was interviewed, and he made some disclosures. Nobody in government or out of government has been able to say he was lying up till this moment. That there is a particular natural resource in Sambisa forest that these Western countries had come to exploit, and for them to exploit without any challenge, they had to create the Boko Haram sect, who inadvertently give them shields while they are busy extracting this particular And I'm told that he said there that maybe I think an ounce or a kg of that particular mineral resource is sold for $2.4 million.
So mineral resources are more important than the lives of
That is
the
the
average Nigerian.
point. And people are feeding fat. Nigerians, we are our own problems. Oshiomhole came on the floor of the Senate, and told the whole world that retired generals were behind gold mining in Zamfara, and that Turji and co were being protected by these retired generals who shield them from being attacked, and they make millions of dollars on daily basis from Zamfara, exploiting our natural resources that should benefit every Nigerian. And nobody has come to say this is a lie. The same politically exposed people and retired generals are also exploiting our oil through illegal bunkering, and nobody is challenging them. For every one barrel of crude that is extracted legally, there are 2 barrels of crude that are extracted illegally, and people are smiling to the bank at the expense of Nigeria. Nigeria has no business to be broke. So they have to use this militia to protect themselves. Why is it difficult for Nigerian military to track Turji and either eliminate him or neutralize him? Whereas Gumi, who is not carrying a rifle, is being escorted to Turji's den in Zamfara, and he will use our own soldiers as protectors, and Turji will also have his own soldiers behind him. They will hold a meeting and they will disperse without any arrest being made. What does that tell you? You should know that we are in for a big trouble in this country.
It's quite unfortunate. We'll continue to call on the federal government to ensure that the security of the lives and properties of Nigerians remains paramount. Let's quickly talk about Rivers State for a minute or two, because we have to go. The sole administrator defying a court order from yesterday, which restrained him from appointing administrators, has actually gone ahead to appoint 23 local government administrators to administer to the LGAs of Rivers State. He has also approved the constitution of some boards of agencies, commissions and parastatals, which he had earlier suspended. He also sacked some political appointees. Some would say he's the sole administrator. He's within his right to do all of this, despite the fact that the court has stopped him from doing it. By the end of 6 months, right, when Governor Fubara may be returning, what we will be seeing in Rivers State? Because some have said, look, the fact that there's a sole administrator, the president is trying to pander to Wike, the fact that he is presenting a new budget, and that the allocations of the state have been released to him, that they will bleed the state dry before Governor Fubara returns.
Those who have been administering the state before now, that are even political actors, have they not been milking the state dry? But that is not a justification for the retired general to also do the same way. But one thing is clear: the day state of emergency is declared in any particular state, rule of law is suspended. You can't claim to rely on the Constitution of Nigeria or any law made by the state assembly during state of emergency. So the man that defied court order knew that the court does not have jurisdiction over whatever happens in that state until that emergency is lifted. That's why he could go ahead and appoint sole administrators like himself in the local government, because he needs to run the local government and somebody has to represent him. He has the power of life and death in his hand. As he is, this is not the first time that state of emergency is being declared. It was declared in Ekiti. Fayose was removed. General Olurin was brought in, and for the period General Olurin was there, he was administering the state solely, without recourse to anybody. That is why you need to avert certain things so that you don't get this kind of results. For me, there is nothing anybody can do about this IBAS And Ibas is not a stupid person. Somebody who rose to become a equivalent of Lieutenant General, Chief of Naval Staff in the Nigerian Navy. And he was not an illiterate when he joined the military. He served from midshipman to vice admiral. In the whole of this country today, the people that have attained that position cannot be up to 30. So he's not a fool by any means. He knows what is right. And
what he has done, is it right?
What he has done within the view of the law is right. As Ibas is in that place, do you know why they don't use middle level military officers as sole administrators in a state of emergency? Because he may not, out of respect, may not be able to call out his seniors. For instance, a lieutenant general, if he calls the GOC or commanding in any situation, they will listen to him because he was higher in their rank to them and he was senior to them. That's why they won't. I've not seen a state that had emergency rule and you have anybody below the rank of a major general as the sole administrator. Oluru was a major general. This one is even a lieutenant general, one notch higher than a major general.
So all Nigerians should just wait and watch until the 6 months is ended and
we
the
also
state of
have
emergency
to pray
will be
that there is
dissolved.
no bedlam, because the man does
So
not
that the
need
state of emergency
anybody.
will not be extended.
Yes, and apart from that, if anything happens in Rivers State that will jeopardize the security of that state, that man has the power, the sole power, to call in the military and order them to do what they are supposed to do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fanimo. Our time is fast spent and we need to go. Unfortunately, insecurity is ravaging different parts of the country.
It's so
From
sad.
Benue to Enugu to Ebonyi to Plateau to several different areas.
Please
to
mention
Ondo,
my state.
to
Yes.
Ondo State, actually.
Yes.
I just
'Cause I'm
did.
not happy about it.
Security agencies, the military, the police, civil defense, the Nigerian Air Force. It is your prerogative to make sure that Nigerians are alive to actually reap the dividends of the good government that a lot of people have been fighting for. Without a kingdom, there will be no king. Plateau, Benue, these are places, several different areas of the north where our food comes from. Already, the borders are closed to certain food items that cannot be imported. Nigerians have to pay high cost for food, for water, for oil, for petrol. How much more can Nigerians actually take? Federal government, this is me calling out to you, President Bola Tinubu, to Vice President Kashim Shettima. I don't know how you people will divide the work, but let Nigerians breathe. We cannot continue to live like this. Many people cannot visit their villages because of insecurity. Please do the needful and let Nigerians breathe. Mr. Fanimo, thank you so much for joining
It's
me.
always my pleasure.
Have an amazing day. You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, here again are the top stories. You heard the Governor Mutfwang has alleged Plateau killing genocidal and sponsored. FGS Akume's aide speaks on alleged plot to declare state of emergency in Benue. NNPP chieftain alleges plot to destabilize Kano state and force a state of emergency. And nursing home fire in China kills 20 people. That is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening.